But
he did have long
looks
hair,
nice.
so. But he was also a movie star, so I don't know. I'm gonna just take the compliment. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the 100th episode.
I know,
this
so
is
excited to have everyone here.
Moment. Oh, hold on. You should be allowed to start video. All right, I just reset it. Can you guys come on video now? All right, hey Joshua, hey Matthew. Try it again for my peeps in the chat. No? Todd, if you're the co-host, can you try to see if you need to manually... Hold on.
Megan, I don't think I'm co-host anymore. I gave you
host. All right, I just reset it. Can you guys come on video now? Oh, echo. Okay. Let me see what I can do. Okay, so I just reset it. It looks like it's working for people. If you can't get video to work, just drop and come back in. You should be able to turn it on. We got to keep things secure here, people.
Oh yeah, everyone knows this. Everyone knows that. Maybe not Katano. Is he here, by the way?
Yeah, he's here.
Cool.
Hold on. Let me find him. Katano, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up? I think I need to drop out and come back in because of the video.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'll be back.
Catch you in a minute.
All right, no problem.
It's been a minute since I've seen Katano. I'm excited.
I know, it'll be fun.
All right, team, who's dropped and come back in? Is video working? We need an update.
No go.
Recording
stopped. We can unmute. We can unmute, but no video.
This is odd. Hold on.
Yeah.
This is live.
Oh, Sydney, you're on now. What happened? What did you do?
I changed my camera, but now now I'm over here. I don't know.
All right, team, I'll keep trying. Bear with me. And seeing if G came back. This is the claim. It just starts working. Look, David, I'm wearing your hat.
It looks very good, Wayne.
Thank you. Change my LinkedIn name.
You're gonna change? Yeah, never mind. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not even sure where it was going, but it wasn't going anywhere good, so I'm just gonna turn back.
I do enjoy a good laugh, even at my expense. All right. Give us a couple minutes for our wonderful co-host Gaetano to be here. Are we not recording?
This feels odd. Why is everything not going the way it's supposed to go?
I don't know. Do you want to record or should I record?
I can't even get into the Zoom on my laptop.
Recording in progress.
Okay, here's Gaetano. I'm recording.
Yeah, I can't get in. We got this?
Yeah, Gaetano, I'm making you a co-host. You should be able to come on.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
good to
cool.
see you.
What's up? What's up?
Hey, guys.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
What do you think of my marketing hat?
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
That's the correct answer.
I guess it's because so many people say, "Let me put my marketing hat on," and
that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
That's so good.
We'll get you a copy of it, of a hat.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It matches the style. You can wear it with the basketball jersey or the football jersey.
Perfect.
Awesome. You want to get into what time we got? Yeah. You want to get into it, Megan?
Yeah, let's opening remarks by Chris and Gaetano is how we're going to kick it off. I then have a really exciting special announcement. It may or may not have something to do with some swag. And then I've got 3 special guests that are going to come on and share a little bit about how Demand Gen Live has positively impacted their career. And then we're going to open it up for a live AMA. And with you here, Gaetano, I think there's going to be a ton of questions pouring in. So between you and Chris, we can tackle the live AMA. So that's the game plan for tonight.
All right.
Awesome. G, you want me to open it up?
Yeah, please.
All right.
Go for it.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Demand Gen Live. I've literally have introed and opened this. This will be the 100th time, which is wild. I was just reflecting for the first 15 minutes before coming on here, and thinking back to when we did this in episode 1, and Gaetano and I had literally no idea what we were doing, and we just it was a really weird time for everyone. The country had just been locked down. It was late March, and we just got together and said, "Hey, do you want to get some people together to talk about marketing and hang out?" Was like literally the only goal. And I think the first time that we got together, we managed to get 19 people to show up, which was amazing. And the numbers still to me don't really matter, but the energy and that I got out of doing it was incredible. And I texted Gaetano right afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, like I really enjoyed that. Do you want to keep doing it?" And then G and I paired up for maybe the next 40 or 50 total episodes together. Which was incredible. And we've had some people that were from episode 1 that have continued with us the whole way. I got another story today, someone that got a C-level role in her company that has been part of Demand Gen Live for a long time. And so it's nice to see people over a 2-year period of time really taking the information and getting a bunch of learnings. I want to say that I am deeply grateful for every person that shows up here, especially the people that show up here every Tuesday night, that challenges me to continue to think about ways to explain things and ask great questions, and encourages me and is part of the community. It truly has changed my life in a lot of different ways, and has made me a much better person. And also thank you to Gaetano. I'm not sure that I would have ever done anything like this if it weren't for you making that suggestion back in March, and we'll be forever grateful for you giving me that little push to do this. So thank you to everyone. Really appreciate it.
It's a fantastic opener, man. Gosh, I don't even know what to say, guys, really. I mean, I think back to the days of me being a disgruntled, marketer at an SEO company, back in 2011 in New York. And my life was difficult back then. I had to take the train, the subway, 3 hours a day, hour and a half each way to work. I'm not a morning person, and I had to get to the office by 9 a.m. Look how much things have changed now with the world of remote. And the truth is that I wasn't great. I was okay. I had to work hard at becoming, where I'm at today, right? At getting to this stage. And there wasn't anything like Demand Gen Live out there at that time. There wasn't really much out there, to be honest with you. Yeah, there was textbooks. Yeah, there was Rand Fishkin's Whiteboard Fridays. Yeah, there was some, thought leaders doing blog posts and stuff, and, Google Webmaster Hangouts, but there wasn't anything as, I would say, interactive and cutting edge as what you'll find in this group. The knowledge has just been amazing. I echo everything Chris said. It's been amazing getting to know you guys. I've gotten better as a marketer, just having to think critically about the problems that you guys are bringing every week. I haven't been on Demand Gen Live as much recently, but as Chris said, we started this kind of on a whim, and look what it's become. It's truly special. And the way I look at this is we're shaping the future of an industry here. Where one bad marketing tactic at a time, we are cutting that out and we are replacing it with thoughtful, meaningful marketing strategies. And you guys are the future wave of the next generation of great marketers. And it takes just an army of a couple to have a big impact. And I think this is a movement now, I would say. This is a revolution, if you will. And so we're changing the game, and I'm super proud to be a part of it. And that's how I think we'll open this up.
That was amazing. Super excited to have you both here. And it's been amazing to be a part of this journey as well and getting to know everyone in the community. And so I am pretty excited to share the special announcement that we've had because we have made multiple promises over the last couple of years about announcing some DGL swag. You guys have asked about it week after week. I think Scott made his own t-shirt and wears it himself because we weren't ever able to create it. And so I'm really excited. We have partnered up with Alice, and we have some pretty incredible DGL swag. I'm about to drop a form in the chat, and this is how this is all going to work. If you want to get a chance to receive it, I have 70 custom swag boxes. So we will be randomly selecting 70 people who complete this form and getting that sent out to you. So I just dropped it in the chat. We're talking a DGL cozy cape, a branded mic, and ring light. You guys are gonna love it. We have a few extra special smaller gifts too, so that if we get more, a lot of people, we'll do our best to send out something too. We need permissions. Todd, Miles, can you help me out? I'll get to that in a minute. My bad, guys. We saw it internally, but I'll get that. Just make sure you complete it before the episode's over. We're gonna be on for at least an hour, if not longer, getting through the AMA. And I would love to bring on some of our community members to go through our special stories before we get to the AMA. Anything else you wanted to add, Chris, before we start that off?
No, I'm really looking forward to this. Let's do it.
All right, Omar, you're up first, and I'm gonna make you a co-host temporarily so that you can come on video.
Snaps.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Promise you won't regret this.
You should be able to turn on your video, and would love for you to share a few words.
Is it on? Is it my turn?
Yeah, I see. Well,
All
we
right, I'll
see
come
you,
down.
but you're not in the screen.
Hey. Right. Thank you. It's so good to yes. Hello. I was so honored. I was so honored to be brought down and selected to share my story of how this amazing community had an impact on me. But no, in all seriousness, Megan, where do I start?
At the beginning.
At the very beginning. For a little context, so I'm in the devices industry. So Chris and I were, I believe, connected, from around 2016 or 2017, somewhere around that time. And, if you don't know much about our industry, it sucks bad when it comes to marketing. So however bad it is in your industry, come to the device industry and I'll tell you, you'll see how bad it is. And so we quickly gravitated towards each other because, we both had an appreciation for what it means to actually generate demand, user generated content, engagement, those kind of things. And right around 2017, Chris had started Refine Labs, and I'll never forget, it was one of my close friends that I grew up with started an agency. I just signed him on, and Chris reached out and we were chatting. I said, man, I really wish we could work together, but I just became the first company of my buddy's agency. So, but however I can help, just, keep in mind. And that was, I think right around 2019. That's right. 2019 when he started it. And then 4 or 5 months later, and this is right around, I think, 2020, whenever Demand Gen Live started being going on, the guy whose name's Orat Davis, really great guy, great growth agency. He's like, hey, have you attended this thing called Demand Gen Live? It's amazing. You gotta go check this thing out. And I was like, yeah. I was like, wait, who puts that on? He's like, oh, Chris Walker. I was like, what, Chris? And so from that time in 2020, and as you know, it was during lockdown. I was at one predictive health company, and Demand Gen Live was incredibly insightful, and I would almost say a godsend, in the sense that during a tough time, I had to really figure out how I was going to help our sales team drive demand, and generate revenue, and more importantly, the kind of things that I learned in Demand Gen Live not only helped me really pack pipeline, accelerate the velocity of what our sales team was doing, but we're able to raise a Series D because within a very short period of time, some of the things I learned at Demand Gen Live, I was able to apply immediately. Following that, I went over to a SaaS company, and I'll kind of wrap it up here. And some of the things that I learned were transformative, and I would say even simple things like Chris was the very first person I knew that said, hey, on your lead generation forms, you should have a text box that does not prompt anybody, that doesn't tell people anything except for how did you hear about us? And wow, did that blow the roof off in terms of attribution. He single-handedly destroyed attribution and allowed people like me to find ways to educate not only my board and my company, but an entire industry that there's a better way to do marketing. And the last thing that I would tell you is that this year I've launched my own venture that's mainly focused on marketing and sales in the med device industry, because I have a vision of changing it. And a big part of that came because of how inspired I've been watching Chris build this not only amazing community, but an amazing company. Like every single person at Refine Labs, and I don't say this about very many companies, is literally a top tier A player. And so, Chris, I'm incredibly proud of you. I'm honored to say that, that I'm a friend, and even more honored that I'm part of this community. And I'd say we can all raise a glass and toast to Demand Gen Live. And here's to another 100. And if there's one thing that I regret, is that there's a lot of like squares right now, and I can't see how much Chris is blushing, but I'm sure he is. So that all said, man, thank you so much for what you do. Thanks for sticking to it, because every week it's so easy just to say, hey, you know what, we got too much going on this week, we're going to cancel it. You guys never did. And this is one of many, many stories that you're going to hear, but there's thousands more out there that you probably never know about or never will know about, but you're having that big of an impact. So thank you.
Omar, I
Thanks,
knew
man.
you were going to be amazing, and you exceeded my expectations. You're the best.
You should have seen my wife's face when I walked out of the bedroom. She didn't know what the hell was going on.
In your tux?
Yeah.
Well, you look great. You should wear it on your next LinkedIn Live.
Yeah, I that's actually a great idea. Should do that. Should definitely do that.
Well, thanks so much. I hope that you'll think of a great question for G and Chris when we transition to the AMA, and we can have a good excuse to bring you back on.
I do have one question I'm going to ask just from now for Chris to start thinking about, but who did Demand Gen Live make you turn into? That's what I want to know.
I'll think about it. It'd be interesting.
Think about it,
yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
man. That was really inspiring to hear the story, and I'm really proud of all the progression that you've made, and I'm really excited for your new venture.
Awesome.
Fantastic story. Well done.
All right, Tracy, I am going to bring you on next, and I am going to also make you a co-host so that you can make sure that you can come on. Really excited. Awesome to get to know you, and really excited to have you share your story.
Thanks, Megan. How am I supposed to follow that? I told you I wouldn't start drinking wine until after I started talking. So I'm not ready with my wine, Omar. But
well, I could play music to cue you in that back.
But anyways, I'm not who you would think. I'm not in the ICP for Chris or Refine Labs. I'm from industrial and manufacturing first, and then I moved to commercial construction recently. So I never had the opportunity to answer the how did you hear about us question. So I'm going to use my time to do that. But I saw Chris, I started following him around 2018 for sure, maybe earlier. By that time, I knew all of our customers really deeply. I felt like even better than the sales team. The website was bringing in thousands of visits a day. I was using landing pages and gated content, and 30,000 email lists, and doing all the things, right, that you're supposed to be doing. And then I started looking at Chris's LinkedIn post, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I was on the executive team there. It was a smaller company, but I had the keys to everything. And I started tracking it through looking in our CRM to revenue and what ones were closing and how big the orders were. And the high volume, like depending on the source, those were the dinkiest orders. We were almost not making enough margin to cover the cost of samples and our time. So then I started bringing the things that Chris was saying to our weekly meetings. And all of a sudden, the people that never had anything to do with marketing had an opinion about how to do my job. So but I kept at it, and I started to pivot away and split the funnel. And then I would only give the sales team the leads that I knew were more likely to close. But they wouldn't let me, the executive team, they wouldn't let me turn off all those other things. So I was getting really frustrated, and they could sense that, but they valued me, but they just didn't know how to reciprocate that. So they gave me more responsibilities, a bigger title, direct reports spanning 3 departments. And so on the outside, it looked really great, but it was just not, it wasn't marketing. It wasn't real marketing, the kind that Chris talked about. And then COVID hit and everything went crazy because we were all set up. And at the same time, he started doing his podcast. And that's when I was like, I have to do something else. So he started talking about ditching the titles, committing to the long term. I started hearing people's success stories after being scrappy and figuring stuff out, and like owning my power as the practitioner, because I was in it. I knew how to do this stuff. I was willing to try it. And I needed to be at a company that was growing where I could like learn from the leadership as well as this community. So I did that. I left. I found a great company, still not SaaS, but a great big company with an extraordinary leader. I started bringing Chris's notes to our one-on-ones, and then the stuff I was getting from the community and the people I've been connecting with to our one-on-one meetings. And I initiated the how did you hear about us on the website, architected the inbound communications and the handoffs like Megan always talks about, for like as soon as they come inbound, they're getting a person and they're getting the best people. Segmented the verticals, started connecting to really understand those customers and the different industries. And then I was recently talking about my scorecard metrics, which revolve around conversions and when they come inbound, and then segmenting is like my quarterly goal to really get involved with that deeply. And I started relating it to the pipeline velocity episode, and she starts cracking up, and I'm like, am I behind the game here? Is this something we're already doing? And she's like, no, I just listened to that during my workout this morning, and I was trying to write down the equation, and I had it all there, and we're talking about it. So that is really what I needed and what I was looking for in a career. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity that she gave me. And it all started with, Chris's LinkedIn posts, and then coming to DGL Live and in the chats, even when you're not asking Chris a question, and then talks with Megan. Like, I've never met them in person, but they've truly, I feel like I have the time with them. I know them. They changed my life. So life's too short, and all you guys on this call and in the community, and Chris and Megan. You just given me so much, because I couldn't have done I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't applied what I've been learning here. So thank you. That's all I had.
That was amazing, Tracy. You've done such amazing work, and it's been very cool to see your journey. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your experience here. All right, all right. If you didn't see his crazy LinkedIn video today, you better check it out. But our final community member that's going to come on is our good friend Bob. Sales professional turned marketer. And are you on video, Bob? I'm looking for you.
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
All right, there you are. I see you now.
All right, perfect. Well, thanks so much for bringing me on. Appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I need two hats. I need the sales hat and the marketing hat, because in my current role at another early stage med tech company like Omar, and as he discussed, it's definitely archaic in terms of what the status quo is, and in another launch of a new product, a new category, it's always a challenge, right, to go cold outbound. And I first sensed a market shift in around 2012 when I was a sales rep for my first startup. We were launching something totally new, and trying to get marketing to do anything different then was a non-starter. It was pre-registered webinar attendees that didn't attend that we had to call 12 times, right? And and the executive team wanted to follow up on all those, and they closed at a lower rate than we did going cold outbound. And then I launched another technology in 2017, and it was the same thing, and I just couldn't get the executive team bought into doing anything. So when I launched this new company, or when I joined this company, after a week of going cold outbound, I knew that there was a problem with what we were doing, because it's so early, product market fit wise. That I basically introduced my CEO actually to Chris. I mean, we had a consult very early on. When I saw Chris's content first in 2019, it resonated with me on LinkedIn, because I was experiencing all those pain points. So the biggest thing I think DGL did for me too was just give me a vocabulary to understand and be able to communicate it. More importantly, at an executive level, right? I report into the CEO. I reported into the CEO of my previous company too, but didn't have that vocabulary to explain why what we were doing wasn't working. And so, definitely grateful for that. But I started watching YouTube videos on rerun after in March of 2020. I was laid off during COVID, and in between companies, I just used that opportunity to level up. Started joined a new company in July of 2020, and I had actually gone back. I think I started joining the sessions live during the first season, but I actually took notes. I went back and rewatched the entire first season a second time. Took more notes of things I didn't even process the first time because I didn't have the vocabulary. And I tell people that first season of DGL is arguably the best content available on any streaming platform, including Netflix. Like, it is that engaging of content. I think that's why everyone shows up here on a regular basis, of course. And so, being able to go to a new company and being able to show them that what we're doing is looking for a needle in a haystack, like early innovators, a fraction of 1% of early adopters, right? And so how are you going to do that with me going cold outbound, or even a small team? Have to do it at scale. And I'm primarily just doing paid social. I mean, I'm not even not even remotely getting into the organic, like what Chris talks about doing, of course, with the with podcasts and things like that. Just doing paid social alone, we've seen a 10x return on our ad spends, and that's just on upfront contract values. So it's just been incredibly valuable. I've been able to get my budget up to a couple of times. I mean, I started with a $2,000 monthly budget as a sample, bumped it up to like 4,000 sometime last year, and the CEO just gave me a bump up to 10,000. And I'm like, I need $500,000. Like, give me $1 million or $500,000 to do something serious here, in order to hit these forecasted goals we had. But we're just not there yet, or that's the reality. We're just not there yet on the sector that I'm going after. So I think more importantly, it's just the advice that you give on a daily basis or weekly basis, the community that you have. I've been able to connect with a number of members of the community who some I've contracted with, like Jess helped me with some website design, and other team members like Matt and Todd they kind of lead the pace on social, and so I've kind of tried to follow suit and do some more organic content. even specific for my company and some of it for marketing sales. But I have to give a shout out to Gaetano too, because that first season, when you did the walkthrough with GT Metrics, like I have hung my hat on mobile web design for fast loads. And, I rebuilt our website myself from scratch in WordPress and got it to score hundreds on Lighthouse across the board. And like, that was quite frankly, all those episodes you talked about mobile page speed loads, it doubled our conversion rates, well, at least it doubled our page views, it doubled our page sessions, just getting our mobile speed scores. Like my old website was like 20-second load times on mobile, right? And we got it down to like, I built a site that loads in under a second on mobile. So, and that had a dramatic and demonstrable impact that you can measure. So just so much information that you guys have shared that I think helps so many different people. And I would not still be in my job. Like I called my CEO a week after I joined and I said, you either made the worst hiring decision ever because the target group you hired me that I have a Rolodex with is not our customer, or you made the best decision ever because I have another plan, and here I want you to meet Chris. And unfortunately, we never had the budget to do business with you guys, and now you've grown so big that I doubt we ever will. But I certainly appreciate you sharing your information so freely with us, and quite frankly, it's helped me retain my own position. So to quote the wolf from Pulp Fiction, if self-preservation is an instinct you possess, you had better change your marketing strategy immediately and start to adopt some of this demand gen stuff for your own career protection, So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Bob, you're the best. I feel like we've all had a front row seat to your journey as you bring your questions week to week, update us on your progress. And thank you so much for taking time out to share your experience today. I personally love the new content train that you're on right now too. So please keep it going. You really got something there. Netflix is going to come poach you and Todd.
It's a shame. My target market isn't really on LinkedIn with any significant amount of people. They're all on user groups on Facebook. And so that's why I do paid social to Facebook primarily. And so, just a very small percentage of my market is really on LinkedIn. And so I'm really there just posting mostly sales and marketing stuff with the occasional teleoptometry stuff. But yeah, just having fun, playing with the group. And the community acts as kind of a surrogate team for me, because I'm kind of like a band member of one over here. I mean, I'm making my own creative. I don't have a team. And so for the most part, it's pretty much just me. And so I talk with my CEO, and the rest of the time I'm by myself. So the community and the other people that we communicate with on LinkedIn and engage with, that kind of is like my surrogate, employees to talk with, the surrogate team members to talk with. So definitely appreciate the community a lot, especially with the remote work environment that we're in today.
Thanks, Bob.
Absolutely.
Katana, remember when we did the SaaS teardowns? We used to do so many of the live streams. That shit was cool. Yeah, brings me back. Yeah. We did some really cool stuff back then. And shout out to Bob saying that season 1 of DGL is the best content on the internet. Love that.
Yeah, those are some great times. It made me better as a marketer as well, having to think critically about different problems that I don't ordinarily see on a day-to-day. I'm sure the same is true for you as well, Chris. So yeah, Bob, it's been amazing to watch you in your journey. I know we had a lot of interactions, through LinkedIn as well. And, I'm really happy to see you come such a long way, and that we can help you out along your journey. So amazing story, man. Thank you.
Well, luckily I got the swag form to work, so the responses are rolling in there. Thanks so much to Omar, Tracy, and Bob for sharing your stories. Before we get into the live AMA, Chris G, do you want to riff on something? Maybe a little SEO, a little something else? What's going on?
Katana's been sending me text messages about SEO lately, and I want to get to the bottom of this stuff.
We certainly can. I don't know if you guys want to save it until later or get into it now.
Oh, come on. Everyone's here. Everyone came for this. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, sure. Well, you guys know that there's a lot of clickbaity content out there about X is dead, and you can replace that X with a lot of things, like content marketing is dead, sales development is dead, cold calling is dead, SEO is dead, Google is dead. But and like 99% of the time, it is just some clickbaity nonsense, right? They're taking some very out of context claim or position on an argument, and they're using that to perpetuate their own agenda. But in this case, I did come across a very well articulated article that was breaking down why Google has gone straight to shit, and to get the real deal unfiltered answers on certain subjects, you have to go to places like Reddit. And in a way, I see Demand Gen Live as the Reddit, the live, spoken word, hangout version of Reddit, if you want to call it that. I see a lot of similarities. And the premise of the article was that some verticals are so over optimized with, what I said to Chris was optimizers optimizing for optimization. And in many search queries that you put out there, that you look for, enterprise SEO is an example. Just search SEO, enterprise SEO in Google, and you see the same exact headline all the way down the page. What is enterprise SEO? What is enterprise SEO? What is enterprise SEO? Et cetera, et cetera. And so you have kind of this, you have this problem of like, everything has become factory. It's sort of like a production line. It's become fast food-itized, if you will, sort of cookie cutter content, everyone copying each other. And the reality is that the information you will find on result number 2 is not that much different than the result you will find on number 4. So that's kind of, it's heading in that direction for sure. And me, as somebody who's built my career on SEO and organic content, it pains me to see a lot of this stuff. And I don't know where it's going to end up. Now, there are some industries where it's very immature, or premature, I should say, where it hasn't gotten to a point where every little thing out there has been optimized to death. But, are SEOs ruining content marketing? Maybe. And I think it's something that SEO professionals have to look at with a critical lens and not be defensive about, and really just say, damn, as content optimization tools become more weaponized, as link building tools become more weaponized, same as sales development, as outbound automation tools become more weaponized, you're going to see more outbound solicitation than can be managed. And the same thing goes for websites, right? And that's why brand is really the only way. And before I go down that route, I'll say the opposite is true. Very, very shitty content can be number one because a very powerful brand, puts it out there. So Google, it's hard for Google to figure out, do I need to reward, this very powerful brand, or do I need to reward the most in-depth content, but however it comes from an unknown brand? And so there's a lot of different routes, we can go about talking about this. I think the final example I'll just say is that if you think about it, the best SEO company, right? Or the best demand gen consultancy out there, nobody's going to find Chris and Refine Labs by searching best demand gen agency, right? Like, Chris is not spending time optimizing his website to rank for demand gen agency or something like that, right? Growth marketing agency, or something to that extent. He's actually in the field, finding where his audience hangs out and consumes content, in a way, even doing outbound to them, but in a targeted and thoughtful way. And so I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of things we could slice and dice in there, but yes, the landscape of organic content, SEO, and just the way, especially in B2B, the way things are shifting is looking much different heading into 2022.
Yeah, and it's to go off of your like factory thing. The thing that I thought about when you mentioned that, and this is in the like B2C angle, but still relevant, is like when you want to get a recipe and then you click on a recipe and you have to scroll for like 5 hours down across banner ads so the website can make like 70 cents on banner ad sales before you can actually see the recipe, because they've figured out exactly what they need to do to rank, and then they stack ads all the way in the middle and they shove everything down at the bottom. And it just has become a place where catering to the algorithm has gotten more important than delivering good information to people. And I think that that's the reason why consumers of both in B2B and B2C are turning to other channels than search to primarily get information, because I think there's a decrease in trustworthiness on Google. It's not that the stuff isn't trustworthy, it's that now they have access to peers and communities like this inside of social networks and things like that, where I would rather go, before I put my career as a CMO on the line to figure out if I'm going to hire firm X or firm Y, I'm not going to look in Google to make that decision. I'm going to go ask 3 people, CMOs that I trust. And so I think when people are making big B2B buying decisions, they are simply going to other places than Google in order to get that information to make the right decisions now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, gosh, as you're talking about this, Chris, like a lot of things are going through my mind also. As somebody who has spent, I've spent all my career, like all of it, in a position where I have to spend almost all my time exclusively on demand capturing. Okay. So not demand creating, demand capturing. And do you guys want to know, aside from PPC, what is the single biggest driver of demand capturing? Is Google affiliate websites, right? So, Chris, you see where I'm going with this?
I knew that for sure, yeah.
Right? What you guys probably don't know, a lot of people who don't spend a lot of time in bottom of funnel demand capturing, is that affiliate marketing is a dark and shady underworld. Yes, there are some that are, you know, quote unquote, as unbiased as it can be. But the reality is that, you know, this can easily be gamed, right? There's shady kinds of deals happening. There's payola. There's, you know, all sorts of stuff happening that will never be surfaced, right? And so what that means is that there can be manipulation of the internet. There can be manipulation of information. There can be misleading write-ups and you know, top editor picks, right? All that stuff can sort of be manipulated or gamed in a sense. And that is why, like Chris was saying, you know, people will rely more heavily on Reddit, on organic social, on just asking peers, reaching out to trusted people out there, you know, so on and so forth, rather than just searching Google, going to some affiliate site that, you know, SEO optimized their way to the top and is probably accepting, you know, money in exchange for the way that they stack rank the tools in these huge listicles. And so, you know, that is something to be said. And, you know, I think you'll see behavior change for sure in B2B, in some quote unquote dumber industries, right? Like probably medical device, I don't know, but like in D2C, when you're selling identity theft protection to old people, they can easily be manipulated, right? And so I think it's something to really like consider for the future in terms of where things are going.
What do you say we get into this AMA? We got a bunch of people here. I'm sure we have some awesome questions. Let's jam out.
All right, let's do this. I've got the AMA list is building. And we can have both Chris and Gaetano kind of weigh in on the questions. Okay, Patrick, I know you're often my closer, but I'm going to have you open up tonight, okay? I think you always have multiple good questions, so I'll even let you ask more than one tonight.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Because when we're talking SEO, then I've got opinions and I've got all sorts of things that I'd love to hear at a Gaetano, so this sounds great. So to your point, I think you're right with Google's becoming a same engine. If I can produce similar content to what you're producing on page 1, I'm going to rank that, right? And brand is going to become the differentiator, especially the more GPT-3 gets involved. I'm very interested in terms of maybe what you've seen. Chris, I'm interested in your opinion there too, in terms of like, how do we separate or how do we unify SEO and brand, right? Because there's the obvious in, you know, have a personality when you talk, and we've all read really cringy marketing content around, you know, where every like 4th line there's a GIF that is not funny whatsoever, but is posted in there. And that's not personality, that's not marrying brand and SEO, that's not marrying brand and content, right? And I think that there is a difference in strategy that comes with doing this on your website versus doing this as an individual in LinkedIn, right? You have a personable face there, and as a brand, you need to copy enough to be #1 in Google, but be original enough to be remembered. And I feel like that's a fine line. I'm interested whether you have seen someone who's doing that really right at the moment, and whether you think there's some takeaways from that for people who want to sort of differentiate a little bit.
Yeah, Chris, maybe you can lead and I'll follow up.
Yeah, happy to do that. So I had an interesting realization recently, and I explained it pretty well to a team that I was presenting to today, is that I see a divergence in how people think about content. And we have people that think about content that I put on my website, like blogs and ebooks and things that people have been doing since 2014. I'm going to call that website content. And then we have dark social content that you put in social networks or in certain places that is difficult to track. And a lot of people are not creating content for these mediums because of the difficulty in tracking, and B2B companies haven't figured out how to measure it, despite how much more effective it is. And the ways that people are using on-site content that I see in my own behavior and I see from people using it is 2 ways to get transactional information. How far is it from here to here? What day is the Super Bowl? What time does the Super Bowl start? Things, how do I get to that? So transactional information. And number 2, to pass through to specific websites. So to pass through, type in a brand or type in a category if you're unaware of a category. But for sure, if you have a brand in mind in a category, you will definitely search that brand, not the category generically. So those are the 2 main ways that I see for categories where somebody wins. In a category where nobody is won on brand, you're going to get the generic searches, which is a big opportunity for somebody to go out and win. And how you create the brand, I think, is by using off-site content. So there's not, like, in my view, a unification here. It's having 2 specific goals in 2 different ways. And you build the brand off-site in dark social where people are consuming most of the content today, right? So most people wish that people would leave these channels and go to their website, because in 2014, the website used to be the main experience and destination where people would go and get content. And over time, that's changed. So now people don't want to leave the platform, and the platform doesn't want them to leave so they can sell more ads. So they keep people inside of LinkedIn on there. And so to do that, you should continue to put the content inside of LinkedIn to build brand. And then, like, it's interesting. At some point, I have a couple blogs that I wrote from a long time ago that I'm going to publish. One on pipeline velocity, because I think people will search it, and I think that my opinion is on the topic is needed and important. So I'm going to post it. But when we do that, I don't need to write in a certain way. I don't need to do anything clever, because I've already built the brand positioning elsewhere. And so that's the way that I would look at it, is I would think about using other channels where you have more than text and more than images, right? So you have a more full suite in social. You use video, audio, other things like that to actually create that affinity and feeling. And then you just deliver on either transactional information or pass through in SEO is the way that I'm approaching it personally.
I mean, I love that opening, Chris, and I think you've opened up a lot of avenues for me to go down. I think I'll start this by giving a real life example of something that is happening now. So for those of you guys that don't know, I'm leading growth marketing at a company that sells identity theft protection. And my identity was stolen, by the way. And so I have like a personal sort of fulfillment in the job that I'm doing today, which is pretty amazing. I actually feel that, and I know that I'm helping people every day with the work that I'm doing, and it's really important. In any case, we are a D2C company, and we are not running traditional B2B marketing playbooks. So there is no, lead gen, ebook lead gen. There is no webinars. There are no trade shows, like all those like nonsensical things that people do in B2B. We don't do any of them. And what we are doing is a lot of the things that Chris was talking about. We are storytelling with video on paid social. We are running YouTube pre-roll ads. We are doing video storytelling on Facebook. We are doing airport advertising. We have a NBA sponsorship with the Minnesota Timberwolves. The list kind of goes on and on. And so branded traffic is increasing significantly as a result of these efforts, okay? Now, aside from that, we're doing SEO as well. So we are ranking in search for things like how to know if your identity is stolen. That is a very middle of funnel, long tail query that is very important in the user journey, but may not necessarily drive pure conversions. So one problem with SEO is that a lot of companies want to measure it like performance marketing, but you're doing, yeah, Chris, I see
So
you.
true.
Light bulb.
So true.
You know, the reality is that SEO hits so many areas of the funnel. You know, if you're doing stupid, like I'm not going to, you know, do an article that says what is identity theft and, you know, or some stupid thing like that. But I'm going to go long tail. I'm going to listen to Gong. I'm going to listen to sales calls, and I'm going to pick out, wow, these are things that people are actually saying in the buying process, or things that are happening to them in their life. I'm going to go create long tail content about this. I don't care about how much search volume it is, and I don't even necessarily care if it's a huge volume. Like, I don't want to report on vanity, right? I don't need to say, hey guys, to my executive team, okay, non-branded organic traffic blew up by, you know, 200% last month, and everyone claps. I'd rather it go up a little bit, but it actually matter a lot. So what's funny about my situation now is that the non-branded SEO pages are driving tons and tons of traffic. And all our conversions, like a huge bulk of our conversions, are coming from Google organic. But none of the conversions are coming on the pages that I'm creating. They're all coming from homepage, right? Or pricing page. So the executives are saying, wow, SEO must really be working. Look at all this organic traffic we're getting. And it's also correlating to the amount of signups that are coming from Google organic. I have to be honest about that and say, guys, this is coming from homepage and pricing page, right? I cannot, in good faith, take credit. Yes, I am growing non-branded organic traffic by creating very helpful middle of funnel long tail articles that have an average time on page of 4 minutes or longer, which is amazing to see that leading indicator. But that's not where the transactions are coming from. So unless you can reveal under the hood and be honest about it and say, hey guys, you know where I actually think the attribution is coming from on this Google organic or direct? It's coming from the offline channels, right? Because branded search is growing quite exponentially at the same time as we launch these campaigns. And so, you know, there's a halo brand effect of affiliate marketing, of PPC, of offline media, sponsorships on podcasts, right? Like, we're doing so many things, and it would be criminal of me to trick or dupe my executives who don't really know SEO, to dupe them into believing that it's my work that's driving these results. So Chris, let's maybe pause there.
And can I just jump in? The community has a question. G, they were asking if you leveraged, like, how did you hear about us on any of like the intakes? Or I'm not sure how that works at Aura. Is that part of your process?
Yeah, because we are direct to consumer and there is no fill out a demo request form, that question is baked into the enrollment flow when you sign up on the self sign up flow. That is baked in there. And we look at that, and we always see, you know, the Dave Ramsey, or, you know, Minnesota Timberwolves offer, or, you know, special offer on this promo campaign that we ran with this influencer, right? We're doing influencer marketing as well. And so, you know, we actually took the playbook from Athletic Greens. If you guys have a moment, take some time to go study Athletic Greens. These guys have really done some unbelievable marketing. Like, in a super crowded space, they were able to use people like Tim Ferriss and people like that to bulldoze their way into becoming a very, very, very well-known health brand in the D2C space. It's essentially a all-in-one health formula protein shake thing. And they're saying, hey, you don't know where to get all the best vitamins throughout the day, so just take this thing and you'll be fulfilled, you know, nutritionally for, you know, with your body. Yeah. But in any case, we looked at companies like that. We're not looking at Gong, right? We're not looking at like B2B companies and playing that game. We're looking at companies that actually went out there, built a brand, took over a category. You know, this is really like a lot of the stuff that Chris has been preaching. I got to say that I'm blessed to be able to live that because I'm part of a company who has that mindset. So yeah.
What have you learned with influencer marketing? It'd be really interesting. I think for a lot of people, we're hovering around it in B2B, but most companies are just not built to take this in. But I want to go a little bit deeper because it'd be interesting that from coming from B2B and now doing it, if you've learned anything and any ideas about how to translate it to get it to work in a B2B environment. But first, we'd love to hear what you all are doing, what you're learning.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Chris. A lot of B2B companies actually have been messaging me on LinkedIn and asking me to do paid sponsored posts.
Yeah, I get those too. It's like sometimes I entertain them just to see how much they're paying, but I'm obviously not doing that.
Yeah, I just kind of shut them down like right away. But I mean, so one of the biggest ones that we're doing now is with the NBA players who are part of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So like Anthony Edwards, for example, we actually named him an actual position in our company. He's the director of trust. so like, you know, we draw the parallel of like, hey, I'm blocking shots in the game. That's the same thing as Aura blocking malicious websites from, you know, invading your devices and infecting you with malware. And so I think like, you know, everybody just wants to pick a brand ambassador, right? So we actually did engage with like some top tier one people that everybody would know their name if I mentioned, and some of the costs were just absolutely outrageous. So we just said, all right, this
7 figures.
Probably, yeah, we're talking, man. I mean, it's millions, man.
Yeah,
millions,
yeah, that's what I figured.
Millions.
Yeah, tier ones will be millions a year. Yeah.
Millions. Yeah. And so you have to make really tough choices, right? You could say, yeah, I could give The Rock, you know, 30 million, right, to be the face of Aura, or, you know, imagine what I could do with that 30 million in marketing. Whoa, man, right? So those are the kinds of trade-offs that like are being like thought about and being made. In terms of like, do I know like right now at this point, the absolute best of the best practices? No, I honestly don't. There are people at Aura that are actually smarter than me that are leading a lot of these initiatives and spending huge amounts of money, people who have done it before. And so that's another thing that I'm excited about with being in a D2C company. You know, I've been in B2B my whole life. And so I'm finally, you know, in a company where there's sometimes people much smarter than me talking about this stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'm learning a ton, and you know, I'll get better as a marketer by, you know, iron sharpening iron. So once I have better insight there, I'll report it back. But as of this moment, you know, it's just kind of feeling things out and learning from people who have done it and who are smarter than me in this field.
Coming from B2B to direct to consumer, what are your thoughts on product-led growth, and does that would that change your opinion of coming back to B2B to know, especially like I think that I really hope that PLG evolves from just like free trial to outbound, and free trial is just a surrogate for doing an ebook download. It's just a different way to figure out who to cold call. And I really hope that it evolves to where you could do a touchless 30K ACV transaction and marketing drives that. And so I think that if the product motions can get to that level, I guess just what do you think about that broadly? Because I think that'd be really interesting.
All I can tell you is that, you know, so much of my time now is actually spent on monitoring what happens during the enrollment flow at each stage of the checkout process and finding out where things are going wrong and why and how to fix them. And some of the insights are truly remarkable. I mean, we have tools that give us feedback, and we compile that data, and we see drop-offs in certain parts, and I'm spending just a ton of time on this, and so are a lot of other people. But when you get it right and you fix it and you see the change happening and you see subscribers go up as a result of the changes that you're making, it's like, wow. And it brought me back to B2B sales. You know, we're not spending time arguing with sales about whether a lead is ready, a lead's given readiness to buy. And so like in B2B, I don't know if it's like quite ready enough yet to get into fully self-sufficient onboarding for a 30K thing, right? Like where our price points are quite low, like everything is under, $50 a seat. But, and I would love to see B2B get there. I just don't know with the over-reliance on like the typical outbound motions and the classic SDR to AE handoff. I think just there's so much archaic draconianness that is just kind of, it's stuck for lack of a better term. I just don't know if it'll get there anytime soon. I don't know what your thoughts are, but that's just my broad perspective.
I'm with you. I haven't seen it yet, and there's a possibility that the people at Refine Labs try and prove this out in the near future. So stay tuned for that.
That would be exciting. That would be exciting to watch. I personally, I'm looking forward to the day where those conversations don't really, I think it's the bane of every B2B marketer's existence. When you get that question from your sales leader or from whoever, and it's like, hey, leads are down, why? Or leads are not closing, why? There's a whole bag of worms to open up there. But
all right, yeah. I was monopolizing some of the time, so let's make sure we get some more DGLers back to ask some questions.
I know, we could just let you guys talk all night. Patrick actually had a second question, so we'll let him ask it.
Wow.
Welcome back, Patrick, to the show.
Hey, we got on a roll and it was great. So I just shut up and let you guys speak for sure. But I appreciate coming back in. So someone else, a smart guy that I know on the call today, asked a pretty good question. So I'm going to actually skip my follow up and ask his because I don't think you guys picked it up. But I'm going to add a little element to it. I think, do you feel maybe that you are doing, to some degree, yourself a disservice by not having some of the content that you produce regularly, especially in here or in your LinkedIn, findable and searchable in Google through your blog or website? Because there's a lot of really great knowledge in there, buried maybe 20 minutes into a DGL that people aren't finding. And I can't search it on LinkedIn, and I can't search it on Google and come up. I can't go, how do I do growth stacking, right? I watched a growth stacking video today. I can't find that from you by searching it.
It's so true. I think it would be irresponsible of me to say that we're in no way doing ourselves a disservice by not showing up. It's something that I've been thinking about. Specifically on terms that we own, right? I'm not trying to rank for like how to grow your pipeline, but when someone searches dark social and we've built the definition, at least the recent definition, we should own that. When people search pipeline velocity and get the wrong calculation from the first couple of results, we should own number one there. And so there are some terms that I think that we've dominated in and owned that I think it would be smart for people to be able to easily get a definition, calculation, explanation through search, which is a transactional information. One of the reasons that I said I would use search to give people information. So I think that is the truth. We have a plan to tackle that in a little bit of a different way, which I'll share more about. But to answer your question directly, I do believe that that is something that we will take on before the end of this year to own those types of terms in search.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a fair one, Patrick. Chris, I'll admit myself, there have been times when I think about something you talked about once, and I'll have to say to myself, damn, I remember Chris talked about this thing. And what I actually have found myself doing a couple of times to refresh my memory is I've had to go to your profile, I've had to go to your post.
Oh man.
And I've had to where is that damn
takes
link?
Forever,
Yeah, it takes forever. I'm like, oh, here it is, 6 months ago, right? So, I agree that perhaps a repository of content that is findable would be very beneficial. And I don't know, I guess it kind of reminds me of my Sales Hacker days. For you guys that don't know, I used to lead the marketing team at Sales Hacker. And the reason Sales Hacker was able to blow up, a large part of it was SEO. And a large part of that was because we actually did not hire ghostwriter content writers from Fiverr. I would go out and hit up like the VPs of marketing at top companies, VPs of sales at top companies, and say, hey, can I get your perspective on this? And can you publish an article on it? And then I would use that to rank. And the reason why our content ranked above a lot of HubSpot content, above a lot of Marketo content, was because we did have that unique perspective from those individuals who are actually the subject matter experts in their field. And Chris talks about this a lot. One of the things you'll see a lot in search is a lot of repetitive, regurgitated sort of dry information that has no unique point of view, no real life perspective, right? Like no examples. And so the reason why Chris's content does so well is because a lot of it is example based and example driven. And so maybe I'll just leave it at that.
All right, more action items for the growth team at Refine Labs.
I'm taking notes. All right, Samson, I want to welcome you to the show. It's always nice to have you.
Hi.
Hey, you're on live.
Hey, Sam.
Awesome. Okay, I'm super stoked. Thank you so much for having me on. I would like to ask the same question that I asked last Thursday. It's about community building, and you've done a great job here. And I know you love to talk about this conversation. So what alternatives for Facebook groups, Slack or Discord would you say are optimal for community building in 2022? In my case, I don't like the stigma with Facebook, and our tribe isn't active on either Slack or Discord. So this is my situation. I would love your help or guidance in it.
G, you want to take a shot at it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a shot. Here's kind of just like what comes to mind. I'll just start going, and then Chris, you just help me out.
Yeah.
There's so many groups, right? There's tons and tons of Facebook marketing groups, right? Tons of Slack groups now. Like I've joined like a lot of Slack groups and I fell out of them because I just can't keep up. There's so many, there's newsletters, there's blogs, there's YouTube channels, right? But when I think about the ones that I stick to, right? And you guys could even argue that Demand Gen Live is a community, which it is. There's no Slack group for this, right? Or maybe there is, I just don't know, but is there? There isn't, right? Yeah, okay. Right? Why does everybody keep coming back to Demand Gen Live? Right? Like there's so many other places that have tried to build marketing communities. Like even Sales Hacker has fallen off. Like I'll just, once they got acquired by Outreach, it's like, all right, is this a puppet for Outreach now? Like I'm just keeping it real. That's what comes to a lot of people's mind. And so why do people keep coming back to Demand Gen Live? Why do I always listen to, I love listening to Anthony Pompliano's Bitcoin podcast. I also love listening to Peter Schiff's podcast as well. He talks a lot about gold and market trends and stuff like that. But it's not necessarily a community, but why do we keep going back to it? And it's because it's the best of the best of the best information that's out there. So truly the secret to creating a phenomenal community is having the people who have the most unique insights, the best of the best information out there. No secret agendas, no nonsense, just keeping it all the way real all the time, right? I think that is truly the secret to creating an effective community. It doesn't matter if it's Slack, it doesn't matter if it's Discord, it just doesn't matter the tool. Just like with content, like, Chris is creating amazing video content for LinkedIn. Why did Chris explode in the manner that he did? And it's because he brought the most unique perspective to and he was saying the things that no one else was willing to say. And maybe we'll just pause there. Chris, I'll pass it over to you. I think that is what you need to think about before embarking on, do I want to launch a newsletter? Do I want to launch a blog? Do I want to launch a podcast? Don't go into it with the mindset of like, yeah, this is going to be MVP version, good enough. I just want to do this because everyone else is saying that community is important. Do I truly have the best and most unique or some wildly radical perspective to offer? And if the answer is not yes, then you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I like where you went there, which is moving away from the destination or location, which was in the root of the question, and rooting it in information first. We call it content-driven community. which is that the point of view and the content is where it starts, and it actually happens in a lot of different places. It happens in the Zoom. It happens in a podcast. It happens in LinkedIn. It happens in some of the group LinkedIn DM messages that I'm involved in with people on this Zoom and things like that. So it can happen in a lot of different places. The key and what brings people together is the perspective and the what I call a movement. Like, what is the shift in the world that people want to bet their career on, or to try and get some level of personal or professional advancement out of? I think that's what you want to really center it around. And then the destination of where people congregate, create options for them so that it doesn't necessarily need to be in one specific place. I agree with you. The Slacks, I don't know, I haven't used much on the Discord, but like the other destinations that I've been to, I've started to tune those things out. There's a lot of noise. I'm not going to a specific place to get that stuff very much anymore. I still observe because I want to learn and I want to see what's going on in those places to be able to drive strategy and educate people. But my level of engagement there has been lower. And so, yeah, I would focus on the information first.
Yeah, I would just close out by saying that the more niche the topic or the more niche the subject matter, the more likely it is that you will be successful at building a community. Mm-hmm. So for example, Web3, right? NFTs, right? This is like very, very new shit. And yeah, there's a lot of it coming out, but you know, if you can get in that space as somebody who really, really, really knows it, you'll have a much better chance at trying to do that versus, say, I don't know, something that's very, very saturated already. So that also has something to do with it.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to bring on another longtime DGL community member, Scott. You have a good question, and then I have a couple questions that I have to ask on behalf of people, you know, like those anonymous ones. Oh, Scott, okay. Welcome to the show.
Perfect. Hey, thanks. Congratulations on 100.
Thank you.
And I feel honored to be part of the community. And I just, again, Chris, Megan, this has just been awesome. I mean, I'm standing back and you've helped me in a lot of different ways too, you know, with what I do on my side. I do sales consulting and have another business. And you've helped me. So thank you. Appreciate it. We do. Yeah. My question is on a previous episode or maybe episodes I've asked, I'm writing my second book on B2B sales, done lots of research, and I've kind of tried to narrow down what's the biggest problem, and it's the KPIs. They have nothing to do with sales KPIs, B2B sales, nothing to do with the buyer experience, and everything to do with amount of calls you do, emails, bugging people, and trying to close the deal, right? And then Chris, this is where like the light bulb went off. You mentioned, and that's the problem with marketing too, was the KPIs, and I never even thought of that before. So my question to both of you, Critano and Chris, is if a new marketing person is going to come aboard and you know, a smaller company where they're doing a lot of stuff, what would a marketing KPIs look like? Because we know the ones that look, the vanity metrics aren't working, right? But so what if you could design your own, or some company came to you and said, hey, what are the KPIs you need to have for my new marketing person? What would they be?
Yeah, I've been seeing this trend for a very long time, which is that every company's sales process is built around how they wish to sell, with no real understanding or care to how their buyers want to buy. And that goes across both sales and marketing, right? And the root of it is that we have companies that have entire revenue teams that only think about things like sales is really the root. And so the marketing KPIs and the sales KPIs get rooted in things like that. If I was going to design a new way of looking at marketing, I talk about this quite a bit, I would score marketing specifically on the total number of pipeline and qualified pipeline and website and revenue generated through the website. And if they have another go-to-market motion like events, I would include that and I would score it separately. and I would look at just that specific thing, and I would run pipeline velocity and customer acquisition cost against other sources of getting revenue. And those would be the core KPIs that I looked at. When I say that, it's really looking at true lagging business indicators. And so a lot of, like, if there's a junior marketer coming into a new team, scoring yourself on lagging indicators, if you don't know the patterns and how to actually drive those results, could be very dangerous. And so I would put the caveat there that that's like having a marketing team scored on lagging business metrics like that is truly for advanced teams.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm in D2C, I never want to go back to B2B.
I hear that.
because we don't have these conversations anymore. Yeah, it's literally e-commerce transactions by
or
source.
Nothing.
Yeah. I mean that is it. It's that, and then we have a couple of leading indicators that we look at, like, average time on site. We look at drop-off rates of our enrollment flow. We look at traffic, month over month, week over week. That's important. Traffic is definitely an important leading indicator. But that's it. That's all it is. And so I'm with Chris on this. I never want to go back to those days of like dividing the funnel into all these different stages and sections and lead scoring. I don't want to ever go back to that ever again.
No more lead scoring, please.
I don't ever want to go back to that ever again. I never want to have to be put in a position where my leader is asking me to create some sort of scoring mechanism based on email opens and intent, right? I don't want to ever have to think about intent data ever again. I love where I'm at. I never want to go back to B2B ever again, because the reality is that I know it's like funny, but it's like true.
It's true.
Scott, this is hilarious. The reality is that once you clear all that nonsense out and you stop spending, there's opportunity costs of talking about this, about investigating this, about having meetings about this, about structuring this, about reporting on this. When you stop doing all that and you actually shift like the larger portion of your time to doing marketing, man, that immediately you notice that and you're like, wow, so much of my time is actually spent doing marketing now, about copywriting and listening to calls and analyzing the checkout flows and doing landing page optimization and conversion rate optimization and content marketing and keyword research. And we have 2 domains that we operate, so we're thinking about dual brand strategies, right? Like, man, like this is, you spend so much more time on that and so much less time on,
bureaucracy.
Yeah, bureaucracy and all those other things. So fewer metrics, more focus on quality. I think that's where we're headed.
What's better than intent data?
Where B2B becomes more like this? Like, can you imagine that future, or is that crazy?
It's a way. I hope so, but it's a ways out in my view.
It's a ways out. I agree. I mean, I don't know many B2B companies who are operating like D2C. I mean, I don't think I know any. Do you guys? I mean, I just don't know.
No, it's not true today, but I feel like it's an aspirational goal to work towards. You were just talking about a 30K ACV, PLG motion for a B2B company. I feel like that's in the realm of possibility, but I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
We'll see. And to add on that real quick, Chris, I'm sorry to keep this going, but I think it is very worthwhile to just maybe just mention this real quick. In an environment in B2B where product-led growth becomes more prominent and there's this migration away from the classic motion, right? What happens to sales development? What is the future of sales development? I think this is going to be like I can't even comprehend, I can't express how the magnitude of the disruption that's heading for sales development in the future. I don't know exactly when it's coming, but it's going to hit like a massive stock market crash. And there's certain things in this that I think are going to become more evident, really soon. And maybe I'll just read a quick list of things that I saw from a LinkedIn post that kind of just made me say, wow, why aren't enough people admitting this or at least bringing this to the discussion table? Let me open up this list real quick. Here we go. Realizing that sales development turns off buyers while pushing them prematurely to sales. So it's low quality interactions, non-sales ready leads. These are often opportunities that if you would just wait, proper demand gen would push them into the buying mode anyway, instead of you bothering them as a sales development rep. Point number 2, realizing that sales development is a type of outbound marketing. It's not sales. The whole system was designed and incentivized to spam. It's unsolicited, annoying, intrusive messages. You're invading people's private inboxes, phone with texts that are unsolicited, LinkedIn DMs, physical address, mail spam, right? Telemarketing, email spam, LinkedIn spam, bribery through gift card marketing or gift card sales development, if you will, is the worst and most counterproductive type of sales development that there is. Buyers are getting better at ignoring spam. My spam blockers are, there's no chance you'll be able to get through to me, with those spam techniques, or Chris, right? Why aren't we liberating SDRs to more productive and fulfilling career paths? Are SDRs truly happy, right? There's certain people, they're not, right? There's certain people on LinkedIn that are like, oh, SDRs, go get them, be nice to SDRs. Yeah. It takes 2 seconds to smile and reply and say, no, thank you, but I'll refer you to someone else in my organization who you can talk to. Like, let's just cut the bullshit for a second. SDRs don't need or want fake encouragement, fake awards, fake prizes, games, micro promotions, rah camaraderie nonsense. What they actually want is a career that doesn't require them to make hundreds of spam calls a day to hit an activity metric on and fuel the machine, right? The spam machine. I could keep going and going, but where I'm ultimately, where this path is leading me to is sales development. When are companies going to accept and recognize that sales development is actually outbound marketing? And so the final point on this, and Chris, I'd love to hear you just hammer it, is that Tito put out a post that said, we're calling, we're emailing, a lot of these first touch interactions are through outbound sales. And later on, those interactions are going to convert through organic search or direct search. So everyone is attributing this success to marketing, right? Now, there are many cases, of course, where sales development is directly attributable, right? Through like sign-up links and meetings attended through outbound sales. But there's a huge portion of that where they don't attend a meeting right away, but the first interaction point was through sales. So actually outbound sales or outbound marketing, if you want to call it that, is not getting appropriate credit. And it's the same kind of thing we're talking about with advertising and first touch, attribution models being all out of whack, and dark social, and outbound marketing, which is sales development, is facing the same exact problems as marketing teams. Mm-hmm. Where are we going with this? Chris, I would love for you to just hammer this thing home.
Despite what I'm about to say, I don't believe that anything will meaningfully change in the realm of SDRs aside from maybe where they report in the organization for at least the next 24 to 36 months, but probably even longer, because companies are incredibly well funded and it creates metrics that appease getting more money. So while I don't expect there's much change, here's what I would do. What we've done at my company is what I believe will be a more modern, forward-thinking, buyer-centric, and sales company-centric way to do quote-unquote business development, which is that we have experts throughout our company that are not compensated on close-won deals, that post content on the internet, that spend time in communities, that help people, that are genuinely incentivized to just help people get better, share information, and things like that, which creates tons of affinity for my company and leads to business opportunities with no real attribution to any specific one person or post. And that's what I believe that we will move into. At least I plan on paving the way here, because once you ditch the handcuffs of attribution and you start looking at overall results and then use more intuition and qualitative data to guide decisions, you end up doing things that work a lot better than what companies do right now. So that's what I'm doing, right? It's what I hope other companies would do, which requires different talent, different metrics, different overall goals, and what leads you to less meetings with sales for gift cards, less demos that never close, less BANT meetings and leads that SDRs book meetings on calendar and AEs don't accept them, or AEs move them directly to close loss after the meeting. All this wasted stuff just so that we have a function that can get scored on. They booked 15 meetings last month. So that's what I would do.
Chris,
that's what I'm doing.
I love it. Let's say you weren't the CEO of Refined Labs, right? Let's say you were like the CMO at some B2B SaaS company. Would you have an SDR function?
No.
Wow. All right. I'm with you. I would, however, have an inbound response machine, but I would not have an outbound sales development motion myself.
Yeah. Jeez. I mean, if I was the CMO of a company and they came to me and they're like, hey, we got 20 SDRs over here in sales, but we've decided that they're not going to work in sales anymore. They're coming to you. I'm knocking that thing over and building from the ground up with 2 or 3 subject matter experts. I'm building a community. I'm creating live events. I'm having them create content. That's the direction that I'm going, and then I'm going to use all of the excess money on media, KOLs and influencers, micro events, all that other stuff that's getting wasted in spam. On the inbound response, I've been going with direct calendar bookings with AEs for a while, so the response isn't even needed, and highly qualified meetings with target accounts and C-level or VP level buyers show up on their calendar out of nowhere. And those ones, that's been working pretty well. But yeah,
wow,
no SDRs
I love
for me.
It, man. I straight to AE. That's it. So the future seems quite grim and dark, right? Like if you're an SDR today, man, it looks real scary out there. What are we gonna advise? If you're an SDR today for the future of your career, what's it gonna look like?
I think that you got a couple of paths. So one, like, I don't think that it's as grim as it's being made out to be here, and it's not going to happen as soon. So like by the time the people that are SDRs right now, by the time this thing changes, you're going to be an enterprise AE or something like that. I think it's going to be a while till this stuff happens. So nobody that's in the job right now should be worried. But what you should be thinking about is, and this is exactly what I did in 2016. I looked at things and I was like, I see where the market is going right now. Everyone that works in my company that wants to promote me and have me be the AE for the Boston territory because they think that sales is the way to grow your career like it was 10 years ago, and they think that I'm going to get a promotion and make 30% more money and be a sales rep and get more like reputation inside of the company. And they think that's going to be great for me. But I'm over here being like, what the fuck? In 3 years, all these people are going to be wondering how marketing's driving so much revenue. Why would I go and take that sales job right now? I see that I'm driving way more revenue doing this than any individual sales rep is doing. And so an SDR's got to do the same thing. They got to see where is the market going. It's not even where is the market going. It's where is the market right now that everyone else doesn't realize. Where is the market right now? How do I see where that's going to be in a couple of years? And how do I position myself with the skills to be ready and there when I'm in my, whatever, if you're coming at SDR early 20s, when I'm in my late 20s or early 30s, where am I going to be where it matches up with the buyers, where I'm in my prime of starting to get into the prime of my career? I have real skills and I can go and make an impact. So I would figure that piece out. It could be product marketing. It could be subject matter expertise. It could be demand gen. It could be trying to figure out how to move into enterprise sales, although I think there's some interesting dynamics about how that could evolve over the next 10 years too.
Amazing. Well
all right, a couple anonymous questions. These things are going to be juicy.
I know. Scott, you got a great rant going. Thank you for coming on. All right, I'm going to ask a few that I promised, and then our good friend Omar has a great question, so he might be my closer tonight. So this is from Myra. She said, today's post, I think this was from the Refine Labs company page, about consistency really resonated with me. I started at a startup 3 months ago. And since January 3rd, I've posted on our company page 4 to 5 times a week. I'm consistent, but I do switch up topics and formats. How do I get to the place where consistency no longer feels like I am posting into the abyss? So I think she needs a little bit of encouragement and maybe some tips on how to stay consistent to see it through. She's been at it for 3 months.
I think if you've been doing it for 3 months and you're not getting much, you got to reevaluate the strategy. I think it's time. I think you got to look at the strategy. I think you have to look at the audience. I think you have to look at the content you're creating. I think you need to start to dissect what about this isn't working. Did she mention what channels? I lost that for a minute. LinkedIn?
LinkedIn and the company page.
Only the company page or both?
She just specifically called out the company page.
Yeah. I think you got to reevaluate the strategy. I'd be happy to go deeper with you on this in a future Demand Gen Live episode. But like, if you've been doing something for 90 days and you still feel like you're posting into the abyss, then something's wrong. You should be looking for at least positive signals, not we just closed millions of dollars in ARR, but within 90 days, you should be seeing people saying, I like this. Can you do more of it? Would you be on a call with me for 15 minutes to talk about more of this? Those are the signals that you want qualitatively that people are giving you, saying, I'm putting something out and I'm getting something back saying people like this. If you haven't had that in 90 days, and especially on the company page, there's 2 things. Like, the audience of your company page is small and is not interested in what you're posting, or oftentimes if you're new on LinkedIn and you have 1,000 connections that you built up over the past 10 years since you built your LinkedIn profile, none of those 1,000 people use LinkedIn. So you literally are posting into the abyss because you're posting and literally nobody's seeing it. And so when you dissect the strategy, I would move to personal profiles. Personal profiles should be first on LinkedIn. It's just prioritized by the algorithm. It just flat out works better. You got to figure out who that is. I would have a proactive connection strategy. So I would figure out who is liking content like mine on these platforms. How do I connect with them so that they are into my content stream so they have the opportunity to see stuff like that? And then I would try and find a couple of people that you trust that would like that type of content and ask them for like honest feedback. Be like, hey, I've been doing this for 90 days. I know that I'm writing content about whatever, executive level finance decisions or something like that. Could you you're a CFO of this company, could you give me feedback? Is this helpful or am I missing the mark? And I think you need I would try all of those things to try and get feedback to figure out what part of this isn't working. Because if you've been doing it for 90 days, like, the LinkedIn platform works. It's just whether or not you can figure out how to make it work for you. And so that might take some time. I definitely wouldn't give up, but I would at this point reevaluate the strategy.
Hopefully that was helpful for you. Gaetano, you got anything to add?
I'll just say one thing. There's a famous saying: if a tree falls in a forest and it doesn't make a sound, does anyone know that it actually fell?
I'm not sure that's really the actual saying, but
it's something to that extent, right? And it's like musicians who make music and make albums, but they can't grow their fan base. They're making music and no one's hearing their songs. It can be artists, be frustrating.
It could be anything.
It can be tough. So just like going to the gym, right? Like, if you go to the gym every day for 3 months, or you're consistently going for 3 months, you should start to see something. And like Chris very eloquently put, if you're not, it's time to reevaluate and maybe change course or course correct. So that's all I got.
Awesome. But yeah, don't give up. Just analyze what's going on, pivot, and keep trying. All right, I got another question before I bring Omar on. I'm hearing more and more about customer fatigue. Given everyone's pivot to customer centricity, marketers seem to still be missing the point and bombarding their customers for insights and favors, not investing in building trust and co-creation of value. Would be great to hear your take on this.
Go ahead, G.
So I was reading a comment from Omar in the chat and I got distracted. If you can just, I caught most of that. Just give me it one more time real quick.
Yeah, definitely. So talking about customer fatigue.
Oh, yes. Yes. Everybody extracting, nobody.
Yeah. Co-creating or involving the customer. What's the best way to engage with your customers in a way that is actually customer centric and not just asking them for favors and utilizing the insights for yourself?
Oh my gosh. Wow. You know, it's funny that this came up because I've been at companies who are guilty of doing the exact same thing that, you know, is being alleged here, you know, only looking at customers as a way to extract reviews so that you can boost your star rating on G2 or something to that extent. You know, the reality is that, well, first of all, I will lead by saying that I'm not an expert on customer marketing. So maybe my advice here may not be the best, but I would, you know, it's like when you're marketing for leads and you're not actually educating, right? Like all you're trying to do is you're hungry for leads or you're hungry for signups. You know, customers can kind of sniff that stuff out too. Like you just want to, you know, get them to give you an hour of their free time so that you can improve, you know, your business. Or if you send, like, for example, like, you know, email campaigns to your customers saying, hey, refer us to more business and we'll give you, you know, some stupid or cheap incentive, right? To me, a lot of this stems from like desperation. You know, a lot of times like companies are not hitting their numbers, and this stems from bad marketing, right? It all goes back to bad marketing at the end of the day. So companies are not hitting their numbers. Maybe sales is not hitting their number, and they need to try and find shortcuts. And in their desperate attempt to seek shortcuts, it's always like, hey, how can we squeeze more out of existing customers? If we can get more people,
$100 gift card for some referrals, it's the end of the quarter.
Exactly. So the old adage of like, yeah, where do you know, the old saying is like, yeah, where do you get more paying customers? Well, you get more of the ones you already have, and you try and find people like that. And so the idea is that if you know, solicit to your existing customer base to try and get more, that it will be easier, right? And it's true that referrals can be a powerful, you know, growth channel, but only if you do it in a way that's not cheap or sleazy or, you know, slimy. And I don't know if I have the best formula for how to do that, but what I can offer is just the mindset shift of like, if it's the end of the month or end of the quarter and you're desperate, and your executive team is pushing on you to do this so sales can hit their number, it's probably not going to be the most, you know, genuine approach, right? Whereas like if you were doing good marketing and you were on pace to hit your numbers and you're only doing this as like, you know, a way that can be mutually beneficial, it would be a much different mindset. It would be a much different approach. And so I would just kind of zoom out and say, you know, why is it that we're doing this now? You know, what is the purpose of this initiative and why are we doing it now? And, you know, what is the outcome that we hope to get? And that's probably how I would think about it.
Yeah, I was going to say this 100% comes down to your intent in what you're doing. What are you trying to do and why? And if it's self-serving, customers will feel it. And that's the only reason that you're asking the question is because you subconsciously or consciously know that what you're doing is not valuable to them and is self-serving. And so I don't think that this is customer fatigue. I think that it is companies doing self-serving activities at the expense of their customers. And so the only way to flip this is to bring the right intent into what you're trying to do. And so if the intent, like I don't feel bad asking my customers for a favor every once in a while, because I believe that I bring that back in both the work that we do and also in additional favors for them because I've built relationships. But it needs to be equitable is the key thing. And so if you, in any relationship, not only when you're a customer in a business, but in any relationship in life, it needs to have some level of equity. And so like you as a person need to figure out, how do I get this to be balanced? How do I contribute something to this that this person actually wants? And actually even just figuring that out as a marketer or a business can be sometimes hard. And so that's what I'd say on that one, is try and reconsider what the intent is, and then figure out, is this really in the best interest of my customer? And if it's not, maybe you shouldn't do it.
Well said, gentlemen. Great answers. All right, Omar promised me a juicy question, so he's coming on next. We're bringing Omar back. He kept the tux on. Welcome back, Omar. Better be good. Are you on mute? You should be on. It's you, not me. We'll get this sorted. One technical difficulty after another tonight.
Nope.
I still can't hear you.
Yeah, here we go.
Can't hear me?
All right,
Yes.
now we can.
There we go. I'm sorry, Megan. I gave you like a mini heart attack. That was me. It was me, not you. Love being the closer, man. Thank you for having me on, Gaetano. Great seeing you. So I wanted to bring this up, not to dump on this. I'm not going to mention the company. I'm not going to mention the person, but I want to share this post that Gaetano commented on earlier today. I'm going to read it just for context for the people who are listening on podcasts and don't see it, because this encompasses an injustice that is continuously being perpetuated in the world of marketing, and this behavior keeps getting rewarded. And Bob will back me up, me coming from the medical world. This is the kind of bullshit that just gets under my skin. And when I commented on this and I saw Gaetano's comment, I felt very closely. So as you guys know, there's Coach K is an iconic basketball coach at Duke. He's historic, retires. ESPN takes this beautiful photo of him and posts it on their Instagram. And in the background, there's this off blur pink piece of shit logo, but you don't know what the fuck it is. Sorry, for those of you who have the children, please put the children away.
I saw the picture and I had no idea what the post was. I thought the post was shouting out Coach K. There's no way anybody notices that. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and again, I'm not going to mention the company. I'm not going to mention the guy, but I have to read a little bit of this post so you guys understand the level of insanity this is. And we see this cult of brand all the time on LinkedIn. I love digital ads, but they'll never deliver a moment quite like this. This is an iconic sports moment and photo, one that'll be shared for years, captured by ESPN and amplified to millions via social. So freaking cool to see blank brand, as part of it. Bon voyage, Coach K. You've done so much for sport. The best part, feeling lucky that we got to help send you off. Gaetano replies, sorry to burst your bubble on this one, my dude, but someone's got to keep it real. No one's checking for a blurred out SaaS company banner ad in the background during a moment like Coach K's historic retirement. I get the excitement, but let's be realistic here. And just to add the cherry on top, the reply is almost as bad, probably worse than the actual post, because in the reply, which is too long for me to read, words like national consciousness and zeitgeist were used. And at that point, I wanted to blow my fucking brains out. So Gaetano, you kept it real there, but I felt like you had a lot more to say. And so I really would like you to just rip this apart, because me personally, this is the kind of bullshit that gets rewarded at companies. This is what sales teams want. So it's like, oh, let's spend a lot of money and be on this booth or do this thing, whatever. Marketing does it, and when none of this shit works, like marketing usually says it doesn't, marketing gets shit on.
Man, that is whew.
We're bringing the fire on Demand Gen Live tonight.
And I made sure to use a lot of colorful phrases just to kind of like I went to the buffet line first to kind of get it going.
Oh man, wow, this is fantastic. I'm so happy you saw it. I'm so happy you're bringing it up. Oh man, I mean, where do I begin, right? So I'm glad that you also brought up the fact that this guy's comment was he failed to acknowledge the point. He failed to acknowledge that maybe this is kind of wacky. Maybe this is really strange. like maybe this is a real stretch, you know, right? Like first of all, like when you think about you know, yeah, he I think he also tried to draw the connection of like, yeah, this is geographically relevant.
I'll jog your memory. He starts by saying, so you're arguing brand marketing / ads aren't effective, Gaetano?
Yeah, exactly. So it's the classic whataboutism stuff. It's the classic taking things out of context and trying to manipulate it in order to make a point or, you know, achieve some sort of I don't know. Let me zoom out. I think here is part of the problem as well. When you're in B2B, nobody is doing really much, you know, big brand advertising, right? Like there just aren't that many companies in B2B that are doing it. At least that are like, you know, for this company is not a category leader. At least I don't think they are. But they're certainly not like a household name brand. Like they're not a Salesforce, they're not a HubSpot, they're not a Marketo, they're nothing like an Adobe or something like this. And so the way they probably see this is like, yeah, we're an emerging company and we're doing the kinds of brand building activities that like the Salesforces of the world are doing. So that may set us apart in some weird way. And you know, what's even more cringy about it is that they get everyone in the company to like comment and like on it and stuff.
Patrick has it on his background, by the way, right now.
Oh,
Patrick
gosh.
Herbert. It's right there. It's beautiful. Actually, I think we should all change that to our profile photo tomorrow. I think
that would be hilarious.
I'm going to do it for one day. Whoever wants to join me, I'm doing it tomorrow.
That would be hilarious. It truly would. And by the way, this company tried to hire me, and I you know, when I asked what the pay is for the role, it was criminally low, and I was like, yeah, you guys are just you guys are, I don't even know what you think you're doing. In any case, so what I was getting to was this is bad marketing, but when I think deeper about like what is the motivation of this, right? Like this guy is a product marketer at his company. A lot of the motivation is not necessarily it's not seeking, it's not sharing, it's not being a helpful, valuable part of the marketing community on LinkedIn. What it's doing is signaling to, you know, other people in the company, yeah, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. You know, I'm an evangelizer. I'm a cheerleader. And this may have long-term positive effects for his career trajectory at the company. So there is internal motivation for doing this that is self-serving to this person's own agenda. And it actually has nothing to do with marketing. It actually has nothing to do with the company itself, right? It's just self-serving this person's, you know, secret motivations to grow within the company, be recognized by senior leadership as someone who's sipping the Kool-Aid and pumping the brand out there. And, you know, you see those people on LinkedIn who like every single post is about the company and stuff like that. And it just kind of makes you raise an eyebrow, right? Because it's very formulaic, it's very robotic. It's not really genuine in any type of way. And so I think this guy actually did much more damage to his own, you know, to his own sort of personal brand, if you want to call it that. It did spark a lot of attention, me commenting on it, and it probably gave the company more attention than I wanted them to get for that. But in any case,
not in a good way, though.
Not in a good way, yeah. In any case, it just highlights cringeworthy behavior, and you know, and I'll close it out with this, and then Chris, I would be really super like interested to hear what you have to say. But like, there's so much of this in B2B.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much of this in B2B, and it's guys like this that are unfortunately ruining the industry and plaguing it, and it's why it has the stereotypes that it has, because of people like this guy. And I'll just leave it at that.
It's so funny.
Thank you for saying what we all were thinking and feeling. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah.
It's so funny. most of the things that you do in marketing get met with, but what's the ROI? Right? What's the ROI of this? The thing is that executives decide in their brain emotionally what they are going to scrutinize for expenses and what they're not going to scrutinize. And they allow these fluffy things that are expensive and drive no results and are difficult to measure, and they do it because it makes them feel good. Building big trade show booths that have no net new customer ROI, sports sponsorships like this one, putting billboards in Times Square so that you can take a picture of it and post it on LinkedIn, like cringe. Driving wrapped cars with logos around San Francisco just for the fuck of it, like there's a lot of things, and then you go and you actually like, so they spend all this money and they put together this big brand campaign and they post about it on LinkedIn about how cool it was, and they don't measure any results. And then you want to go and spend $5,000 a month on LinkedIn ads to do something that actually works, and they're like, but what's the ROI of LinkedIn ads? And it just makes absolutely no sense because people decide in their brain what they're going to accept and what they're not. And people really, like, I saw this in 2016. The CEO that I worked for loved building trade show booths, loved having the sales leaders fly in there, loved having dinners with the team, loved firing people up before the booth started, and never once measured the ROI of the trade shows, just loved doing it. And there's a ton of marketing activities that executives do not scrutinize because they've accepted in their brain that that's what you do in B2B marketing. And God, would B2B marketing be better if we actually looked at it more objectively?
That's an amazing statement. I will add one thing to that,
Please.
And then we can move on or close. This is the thing that really grinds my gears. So when you think about how much was probably wasted on that campaign, irrespective of, like Chris was saying, they don't want to spend $5,000 on LinkedIn, but they'll blow probably $1 million on that. They're also cheap with salaries. Right? Like they're unwilling.
Yes.
So they're unwilling to invest in the most important asset a company can have, which is people, and give marginal 1% increases a year. Like they're cheap. They're cheap with their most important assets, but yet they'll waste millions on something like that. Meanwhile, when it comes to marketing, if you have a top tier marketer as part of your squad, that can transform your company. So you can transform your company with like a few top level people. And that is still a fraction of what it would cost you to run this wasteful campaign on Bill. Oh, Patrick. Oh man. That's good. I see you. Oh, Skylar as well.
Yeah, I'm being serious. I'm changing my photo tonight for one 24-hour day. I recommend everybody else do it. Sorry, Gaetano, go ahead.
No, it's all good, man. And so that to me is what's disappointing, is that the amount they're willing to waste on stuff like that. And Rand Fishkin called it the Wall Street Journal marketing problem. Where it stems from an old PR issue where, like, if you tell your CMO, hey, I got us a feature in the Wall Street Journal, they'll clap and go nuts. But if you tell them that you got in front of a much smaller, lesser known publication, but it's super relevant to your audience, and it'll actually have a bigger impact, you'll get less praise for that. This is very similar, and maybe we'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just jump in here for one last acknowledgement and shout out. And then Chris, the crew is saying they want you to answer Omar's original question of how you've changed over doing 100 episodes of DGL. So maybe you can prepare a few remarks to close out in just a second. I wanted to do two things though. Today is International Women's Day. I've had some great notes in the chat on this. And so I wanted to just shout out all of the awesome women on this show right now, all of the awesome women that I work with at Refine Labs, all of the awesome women that I know that work at other companies besides Refine Labs, and just take a moment to acknowledge the day. And there's one person in particular who had a really incredible announcement. She's still here on the show tonight. Ashley was promoted at her company to Chief Strategy Officer. after a long ways coming. So everyone give a shout out to Ashley. Drop your congratulations in the chat. You should get celebration and honor just for being you. But even today, you know, congratulations on breaking the ceiling, making it to the C-suite at your company. So just wanted to get the word out there to just have some good vibes on that. And then lastly, what I'll say, I love coming to DGL every week, mostly for all of you. And thanks so much to Chris and Gaetano for paving the way and inviting me in to be part of the journey with you all. So with that, Chris, you want to close it out with a few thoughts of self-reflection, how you've changed over the many, many weeks?
If I can just add, it's not just how he changed, who has he become?
So I appreciate the clarification there, Omar. First off, shout out to Ashley. She was one of the OGs. I don't know if she was on episode 1, but she was here early. And it's been awesome to see. It was awesome to see that on my feed. I actually sent her a message right afterwards to congratulate her. I was doing a little bit of thinking before the episode, and if you can believe this, when we started Demand Gen Live, Refine Labs had 4 employees, including me. And we just crossed over 100. We'll be over 100 this month, and so a lot has changed for me. And I think a couple of things that I definitely owe the community is my by the questions and the information and what you've been able to bring literally paves the way about the concepts that I talk about. Right? Like, I don't know if without the community we would have dark social, which is a crazy concept that's going to benefit so many marketers in the future. Like, I don't think that we would actually have that explained. I think that marketers would still be wondering, how am I going to prove attribution to when I run non-direct response marketing? Now we have a real solution to that. We have a lot of different concepts got created because of the questions and how people do that. So there's a lot of things that are happening that we're driving in marketing that are a lot that we created together, right? Like, I guess I technically get credit for it, but I really owe a lot of it to all of you. And so you all have been able to pave the way with me in marketing. Hopefully you get some fulfillment out of what I get fulfillment out of, which is hopefully elevating the profession of marketing and changing the way that B2B marketing works in the future. It's really the goal. So that's been one of them. I think that I've grown a lot as have really filled out as a leader. I think that when we started the company and being in 4 employees, basically you're doing everything. And then there was somewhere around 30 employees where it was like, hey, maybe I can't be a director of demand gen on 4 customers and also be the CEO of this company at the same time. And so I got to really transition to a leader that's focused on building this incredible culture that we have with a lot of really strong and rich diversity in a lot of different aspects at a lot of different levels, which I'm super proud of. Been able to think about the future and how we can broaden the impact with other, business units or companies or things like that, which has been basically what I've wanted to do. Like, I manifested Refine Labs so that I could create a place with tons of talented, smart people, and we can solve really interesting challenges and be able to have people be able to grow and take non-linear career paths and work on a lot of different interesting things, which allows me to work on a lot of interesting things, which is really what I was interested in doing. And so those are a couple of the, I think, communication, leadership, the explanation of ideas have all been really meaningful things to me, and it's created there was a time where I was nervous or to talk in front of a Zoom of 20 people or even a room of 20 people, and now I talk on Zooms of hundreds, and I'll be doing some live talks in Europe and other places this year with potentially thousands of people live in person, which is really amazing for that growth, to have the confidence and the confidence in your ideas and things like that, to get up and talk in front of that many people was a big deal for me. And so, a lot of growth in a lot of areas. I owe a lot of it, like I mentioned at the beginning, to this community and this stuff. And I look forward to whatever the next chapter is with this community and Demand Gen Live. I'm really looking forward to doing it all with you.
All right, what an episode. Gaetano, you have to come back soon.
Yeah.
Having you on the show was so fun tonight. Everyone loved having you here. So we'll figure out when we can have you back on the show soon. It was great to see you, and so happy to hear that things are going so well at Aura. Any closing remarks before we wrap up?
Just thank you. That's all I could say. Chris, I don't know if you got anything else.
No. Thank you, everyone. Really, this was a really meaningful episode for me, and I hope it was for all you. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday for episode 101.
All right.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Peace out.
See you, G.
Recording.